In case you missed it, here's Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week. And now, it's time to put some good in your morning. The good news brought to you by Almar Home Improvements. 519-351-5666.
To the state of Nevada we go, and we talk about a good boy for sure. A black border collie by the name of Saul is a hero after rescuing his owner after he fell 70 feet in the Tahoe National Forest last week. According to the sheriff's office, the 53-year-old owner had called 911 on his cell phone saying he had broken his hip and some ribs from the fall. While the owner was calling for help, rescuers were able to contact his friend who sent him to his campsite. The 25, it's a big crew here. The 25-man crew didn't find the injured hiker right away, though.
But luckily for them, the dog showed up. They say that Saul ran through the forest approximately 200 yards in a true Lassie fashion to flag down two of the searchers because that's why they had such a big team. I think they had spread out to then try to find him.
Yeah.
And he was able to lead the searchers down to the area where he was covered in a camo tarp, trying to stay warm.
So rescuers were then able to successfully retrieve the hiker and take him to a landing zone where he was airlifted to a hospital. But how dogs almost have that extra sense, their sixth sense, when they know somebody close to them is in distress, like this dog did with his owner.
Now, if you were in this type of a situation, what do you think your dog would do? Would he just stay there and lick your face, or would he run off and get help?
I love my dog so much, but I don't know if he's quite as with it as Saul is here. What a story. What a great story out of Nevada. And a study from Science Daily has shown that dogs indeed have a kind of a sixth sense. So maybe I'm selling my dog short. Maybe he would do exactly what Saul did here. So one of the authors in this study said, fascinating that it shows dogs really care about their people, even without training. A lot of dogs will try and rescue people who appear to be in distress, and when they fail, we can see how upset they are in their venture. What about Coda? What do you think?
I don't know. I think he would ignore me. He ignores me a lot now, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Now, let's just say this. I hope that we never find out what they do, and I hope I'm never in distress like this person was here in Nevada. But a great good news story with Almar, as a border collie named Saul helped out his owner.
We've certainly heard over the last few months, it's been a challenge to fly anywhere. If it's not canceled flights, you've got issues with baggage, either getting lost or just sitting in these airports and people just sitting around for hours and hours. But this is a new one.
Yeah, this one saw a flight delayed because the pilots couldn't get along. So this Alaska Airlines flight from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco was about to take off, but it returned to the gate because apparently the two pilots were fighting.
Yeah, passengers say one pilot got on the intercom and explained that they were heading back due to, quote, a failure to get along. Unclear what they were arguing about. A rep for Alaska Airlines said the captain and the first officer had a, quote, professional disagreement.
Well, once they were back at the gate, one of the pilots booked it off the plane, so the passengers had to deplane while the airline tried to find a replacement. Overall, the flight was delayed about 2.5 hours, but half of that was actually a previous delay due to bad weather. And to Alaska Airlines' credit, they did give the passengers a flight credit for the inconvenience, even though I don't think they necessarily had to.
And not in that case, right? But they probably felt there was just so much drama going on.
So was it like, all I could think is, was the co-pilot, was he promised that he'd get to take off and that's why they were fighting, so they never even made it to the runway to try to taxi out?
Are they both used to being pilot one and they were fighting over that? Because they're struggling to find enough pilots right now. I was just reading this morning that they're talking about, in the U.S. at least, extending the age when pilots can fly so that older retired pilots, some maybe that were pushed into retirement, can now come back to work.
Well, and a lot of them took bio packages when COVID hit, right? And there was no flights anywhere. So a lot of them took the bio packages, probably realized that they're really enjoying retirement, now don't want to go back.
And then the baggage handlers, a lot of them got other jobs, and they were like, I don't want to go back to that either. The fun with flying continues.
And now it's time for...
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's random.
Is that a fact?
Is that a fact?
4 random facts.
Thomas Edison predicted in 1894 that it would be scientifically impossible for someone to ever make a phone call across the Atlantic Ocean. But obviously it was possible. And it happened for the first time in 1927, a few years before he passed away.
So did someone go up to him and be like, how you like me now?
I just talked to England. What do you think about that?
Hey, do you know that every single odd number has the letter E in it when you spell it out?
Now you're thinking about it, right? Really? I guess
all the way to infinity, too.
And Duke University is named after James Buchanan Duke, the guy responsible for creating the modern cigarette.
No surprise, considering don't they call where Duke and UNC is Tobacco Road?
It's definitely a huge tobacco area for sure.
And finally, where does the term smart aleck come from? Well, it actually comes from a pimp named Alec Hogue from New York City back in the 1840s. Apparently, he would rob his prostitutes' clients, and he thought he could get away with it by bribing the cops. Well, eventually he decided that he was just too smart for his own good, and they arrested him.
So he was a smart aleck because he thought he was too smart for them. Yeah, okay, I get it. Here's your 4 random facts.
Today's
1, 2,
4.
So random.
random.
Give the public the facts.
4 random facts.
A woman in Winnipeg, her name is Angela. She woke up recently and found as someone had broken into her home and was asleep on her couch.
So naturally, she did what you should do. She ran away, ran upstairs, got a roommate, and they called 911. But she says the dispatcher, while very polite, was not at all helpful. Apparently, the dispatcher told her that police were, quote, really busy and, would you mind just going back downstairs and waking them up yourself?
I'm not sure what the operator expected her to do after she woke that person up. Police did arrive 20 minutes later. They woke the man up. He became aggressive. It actually took 4 officers to get him out of the house. Police say they're providing, quote, feedback to the dispatcher who handled the call.
I walked halfway down the stairs and there was a strange man lying right here on my couch. They said that the police were really busy and would we mind waking him up ourselves?
Now, you can hear a dog barking in the background. She said, yeah, the dog was the first one that kind of barked. The guy didn't wake up to the dog at all, by the way. But this, for her, brought back some horrible memories of what happened to her out west.
Yeah, so Angela lived in Vancouver, and about 12 years ago, 2 people broke into her home, and it was a case of mistaken identity. They were looking for the person who had lived there before her, but when they realized they had the wrong person, they were like, well, she can identify us now. So they beat her up so bad and left that they pretty much left her for dead.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for a neighbor hearing what was going on and calling 911, she probably wouldn't have survived it. And as she said, she, has some physical injuries from this, obviously mental trauma from what happened. And now to have this happen in Winnipeg.
Yeah, talk about bringing back up all those things you've been working through for 12 years suddenly come right to the forefront because someone's broken into your home and the police tell you, quote, just wake them up.
By the way, the police chief said that, yes, this operator needs a bit more training, that the public should never, confront someone, especially if you feel even the least bit unsafe about it. And I'm thinking, if somebody breaks into my house, yes, I'm probably feeling a little unsafe about it. So hopefully there'll be a bit more training there. Now, for my kids, I was there when they were born. I know some dads, they might feel a little bit uncomfortable about it. I've heard stories about guys passing out and things like that. Well, now there's a nurse that's going viral because she's talking about this very subject.
Yeah, she's a labor and delivery nurse, and she's taken to TikTok to share some of the craziest things she has seen from dads in the delivery room.
Number 1, he went to go get food. I had a patient. I thought she was going to go fast, and I told him I had a feeling, but he insisted that he did not like hospital food, and he went to get fast food. Missed the birth of his child. Number 2, his phone was on silent. His wife was gracious enough to let him stay home while she labored a little bit, but he wanted to get a good nap in, so he put his phone on silent. Coming at number 3, he went to a fantasy football draft. Yes, he left her during labor, and he said it would be really quick, so he went, missed the birth of his child. At number 4, he had to feed the cat. It was an outdoor cat. And at number 5, he left the room to talk to an ex who was in the parking lot. I don't know what the conversation they were having, but we tried to call him. He was not answering. And I have plenty of these stories.
Wow, that last one.
Oh!
How do you ever recover from that one? Now, when my son was born, they used to have this, I don't know, maybe the hospital still do. They had what they call like a dad's room, dad's quiet room, in case the delivery goes long and things like that.
Or you get kicked out.
Getting ramped up, yeah. And so I was sitting in there waiting for them to say, okay, you can come in. And they brought this guy in, and his leg was bouncing, and he was like all nervous. And I said, just relax, dude. It might be a little bit wild. No. They said it shouldn't take long. So it took several hours for my son to be born. And as I'm going by the doctor's room, he's passed out, head back. I don't know if he missed the birth or not. They forgot to wake him up because it was several hours later.
I've heard about that where the husband gets passed out and then hits his head. And so then he's being treated in a separate room.
But you're going out into the parking lot to talk to an ex?
Or going to a fantasy football draft?
Both of those, yeah. Not good.
Yum. Science. It's not rocket science. Check it out. I blinded us with science.
All sorts of science news, including a new study that says viewing art galleries and museum exhibits, even online, can benefit your mental state and overall well-being.
Researchers in Vienna say cultural institutions quickly had to convert to an online format during the early months of the pandemic. So they made digital museums and online art galleries very popular during quarantine. And in that time, they found that just 1 to 2 minutes spent looking at an online art gallery lowered the levels of negative mood, anxiety, and loneliness, as well as higher subjective well-being for all the participants.
Isn't that cool? Well, I mean, you think about some of these places that you may never get to. So say suddenly that was open to you, at least to be able to check it out online.
Yeah, so maybe if you're feeling a little down, go check out an online art gallery or museum exhibit.
Hey, the Perseid meteor shower is underway, and you'll be able to get the best views next month. The most popular annual meteor shower, active from July till September, reached their maximum strength around August 12th or 13th, depending on, the year usually. And this year, they'll peak between August 11th and 12th. And during the peak, there will also be a full moon, according to NASA, too. Kind of interesting.
So you won't be able to see the meteor shower as much then, if it's a little bright?
And maybe not as much. Depends upon the time. They say best to see them as early as 10 p.m. and then into the later hours.
In other space news, the James Webb Telescope recently got hit by a micro-asteroid. It damaged one of the 18 mirrors. And they say it shouldn't have a huge effect on the mission, but NASA's more worried about bigger space rocks hitting it in the future.
All right, definitely a problem with anything that goes there. Check this out. A signal consisting of fast bursts of radio waves in a clear pattern have been detected emanating from deep space, and astronomers believe it could be used to measure the expansion of the universe in the future. Now, it's called a radio heartbeat. It's described as FRBs. They're sudden bursts of strong, consistent radio waves from space that have no clear source, but are detectable across huge distances. This one first detected in December of 2019 by a McGill University researcher who figured this out. One of the things that make this new signal really stand out, normally they only last a couple of milliseconds. However, this new signal can persist for up to 3 seconds at a time. Isn't that interesting? I've seen this movie. Will Smith is in it. I think it's called Independence Day.
I thought we were going to say it was Contact with, what's her name? Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster, that's
Either
it.
one of those could apply. The truth is out there.
What is going on?
Oh no, it's bad. It's real bad.
Ever lost any money over the years?
Yeah, then you find it later in maybe like a coat pocket, that kind of thing.
I lost $100 one time. Took it out of a machine at a convenience store. My son was young, and I was at a hockey tournament playing. I got distracted and walked out, left it there, went back. I was like, oh my God, I didn't take my money.
It was already gone.
It was already gone. Well, how about losing $175 million?
Yeah, that's what happened to this guy. He accidentally threw away a hard drive that had 8,000 Bitcoins on it. And that's worth roughly $175 million now. So he is trying to recover it. His name is James. He lives in the Wales city of Newport. And he mistakenly threw away this iPhone-size hard drive in 2013. And the Bitcoin was stored on it. So now he is asking the council for permission there. He wants to give them $11 million to let him excavate the landfill and sort through the 110,000 pounds of trash.
So how's he going to do that? Well, he's not going to be on his hands and knees, although there may be times he will be. He wants to use robot dogs and AI to go through all of that. So both humans and those machines trained to recognize the hard drive would sort through it He says it'll take probably about 3 years.
And he also wants to recruit, as you said, these dogs. Well, it's the Boston Dynamics robot dogs. Yeah, they would apparently sort through the garbage during the day, and then they would patrol for trespassing treasure hunters at night.
Oh, they're multi-purposed. I mean, if I lost $175 million, I think I'd be pretty motivated to try and figure out a way to get that back. It's the end of an era when it comes to Sprite. They're making a major change after 61 years. They're discontinuing the iconic green plastic bottle.
So no more green.
No more green, because apparently the green wasn't all that green. They're recyclable, but because of the additives in the plastic to change the color, it has to be separated from other plastic to be repurposed. Creates a lot of headaches and unnecessary waste on top of it.
So are they just going to clear now, or what's the plan?
Going to clear. They'll continue to have the bright green label and cap, which will certainly take some getting used to for a lot of people, I think. But the clear bottles, for some people, they're saying make it look like, one of their other, like, zero sugar ones that they have.
I was going to say, I feel like I've seen a clear Sprite bottle before, but maybe that was Diet Sprite or whatever they call it.
Did you drink a lot of pop when you were a kid?
Not too much. It was a treat from the pop shop.
Pop shop, yes.
On Saturday night, we would make homemade pizza and you would get pop. Or it was a treat when you did go out for dinner, which was not very often when I was growing up.
Same. When we were out camping, we'd go out for dinner every once in a while. But other than that, KFC, we would get takeout from, and that was a torturous thing, driving from Timmins all the way to Iroquois Falls, which is about a 30-minute drive. Yeah.
How long was it?
About 30 minutes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but almost 30 minutes. 20.
You should have stuffed it in a cooler so that it stayed warm, and then you wouldn't touch it.
Boy, it felt like it was an hour-long drive waiting for that chicken, because the whole smell of the car would be nothing but the chicken smell. Like Pop Shop? Oh, yeah. My dad got Pop Shop all the time. Black Cherry was my downfall, I think, because that was one of the ones, and root beer. And there was a clear one, a clear, like, cream soda. I remember, too.
Was it clear? I thought it was pink.
There was two versions.
Oh, I always got the pink because it's pretty.
There was also the clear one, too.
My sister was a Black Cherry fanatic. I think I was all about the root beer, personally.
Yeah, that was a good one, too. So many good choices, right? And my dad would always that was one thing. You get a case or two of that.
There was a green one, the Lime Ricky. Wasn't that what it was called, too?
Mm-hmm. I mean, we were once for
and you take the empties back and you had the crate.
Oh, yeah. I was always a trip, right? You have to go somewhere and get all that, and my dad would let me pick out some of them. And
they'd have candy at the checkout, because it'd always be like, can I have a ring pop?
Well, of course they would have candy there. Hand in hand along with the pop, right? End of an era, though, when it comes to Sprite and those green bottles.
You've been listening to Dave and Cheryl's favorite moments of the week.